What's good, guys? So in this video, we are going to be looking at an app that's already profitable, an app that's making some good money, and we are going to try to figure out how we can architect it, design it, and ultimately build this app using no code. And so we're going to go and pick a random app. We're going to learn about it, and then I'm going to tell you how I would build it. So there are a lot of sites where you can kind of go out and you can, find apps to build and stuff like that. The challenge here is that you want to pick an app that's already profitable and you want to kind of know the ballpark figure, meaning approximately how much money they're making. And for that, I really like the site called Indie Hackers. And so they have a section on their website called Interviews with Indie Hackers. Hundreds of entrepreneurs share their stories behind how they started and grown profitable online businesses. And so here you have a bunch of interesting interviews, a bunch of interesting ideas. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick an app that, is already making some money. So for instance, here we have how I turned my freelance frustrations into a $4,000 MRR app. So this was back in 2020. Okay, there's some newer interviews here, and this was back in 2020. So you can assume they're probably making more money, and it could be even quite a bit more. So maybe they're making double, maybe they're making 3 times. But even if you take into account this number here, this figure, that is still a good amount of money. I mean, I think most people will agree that, making this amount of money is a really successful app. It's a sign that your app is successful. So if you open this article here, we have how I turn my freelance frustrations into a 4K MRR. MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue. So this is $4,000 a month revenue, recurring every single month. Now, this is revenue. This is not profit. But remember, we're talking about software here. And we're talking about one-person team, one-man team. And that means that their costs are minimal, right? You have a server that's probably like, $20 a month or $30 a month. You have maybe some, extra stuff. But, it's going to be relatively small compared to the profit, to the revenue here. So what I'm saying is that you can assume for software businesses that most of the revenue is going to be profit, right? Because the costs are going to be limited. We're not talking about a big company with lots of employees, lots of, costs, monthly costs, lots of different tools they're using. We're talking about a one-man team, okay? And so you can kind of read about it, their story. And this is a very good idea, right? Because this interview is super important. It's going to give you kind of an insight into the mind of this developer. In fact, I would say that the interview is as important as actually building the product, because you can kind of learn their motivations, what tools they used, what was, some of the lessons, the mistakes they made, stuff like that. So this is very, very important. So you kind of want to read about it. I'm not going to read about it too much, okay, because I'm not building this app. What I'm going to do is we're going to open up this app and we're going to take a look, and then I'm going to show you how you can build this app using the no-code tool of your choice. So it could be Bubble, it could be Adalo, it could be Appgyver. It doesn't really matter. The concepts that I'm going to be explaining today are applicable for just about any tool out there, all right? So if we go ahead and we open this app here, so this is Social Blue, and it's an all-in-one social media management solution for small businesses. So let's open it up. Let's click on the website here. This is what it is, right? You can try now. Let's take a look at their pricing just to get an idea. And guys, obviously, you want to get an idea of their pricing, right? It's $6.7 a month or $80 billed annually. I'm not sure why it's 6.7. That's kind of a random number. Maybe it's supposed to be in euros, and I'm seeing it in dollars. I don't really know why it's weird. But anyway, let me give you a small piece of advice. If it's, let's say it's $6.7 a month. If you're going to do annually, just multiply by 10. I don't know why he did $80, right? Because that's not, I'm not sure why it's 80. just give it, multiply by 10. That way you give automatically 2 months free, right? Because if you multiply by 10, that's 10 months. That means they're getting, an additional 2 months free. Just a little tip. I see this all the time, and this is kind of the standard practice. So if it's, $7 a month, it's going to be $70 billed annually. Just a little shortcut for you guys, right? A little tip. And so they have various plans. Let's go in here and let's try to figure out what does this app does. Okay, so the first thing you guys got to understand is that they're going to have a million features. We are not, we're not concerned with a million features. We are concerned with its core features, its core feature set, meaning like, okay, what does this app do in like 10 seconds? Can you explain this app in 10 seconds? This is called an elevator pitch. And essentially, you kind of want to know like, okay, what is this app going to do for me? How is it going to make my life easier? How is this app going to make money for me? That is what you guys got to be thinking about. Do not worry about features yet. Worry about the business plan, right? And so we have, essentially, this is a social media management tool. And what that essentially means is that instead of you going out and kind of, posting your tweets on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, you can essentially schedule posts. So you can go in here and says, easily schedule your social media posts. So you can do it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google My Business, all in one account, all right? And so what that essentially means is that instead of you going on Facebook and writing the same post and going on Instagram, copy and pasting, you can just do it from this tool. And this is like, there's a lot of tools that do this. There's money in these tools, right? Because if you're making money with this kind of stuff, with your social media stuff, and you're making money and you're promoting, this is for your business. We're not talking about personal. We're talking about for your business, for your brand. You'll be willing to kind of pay for these tools because you're going to be making money back. And so as long as businesses will be using this tool, you will be able to sell this tool. So do not worry about pricing. You do not worry about anything else. Just let's take a look and let's try to figure out their core features. So their core features is taking some kind of a message and posting it on various platforms. That's it. Now, they may have a million features, right? Look at this. They have a calendar. They have post recycling, bulk scheduling, post reviews. All of this is extra. Responding, monitoring, all of this is extra. Do not worry about it yet. We do not want to copy their feature set. All we want to do right now, guys, you got to stay focused, is you need to implement the core features, and that is scheduling posts. That is this first thing, this one and only thing out of all of these. That's it. Once you do that, the next job is for you to sell it, all right? So we're going to be focusing on this one feature, and I can guarantee you guys, this one feature, that's how they launched the app, with just one feature. They didn't build all of this in version 1.0. They just built this, and then they started, marketing it and trying to get people on board. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So they say platforms. Okay, these are the platforms. So platforms are important, right? I would just support maybe these two or these three initially, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. We have tools, generate posts with AI caption generator. We're not going to be doing this in version 1.0. Resources, well, resources are resources, all right? So now we're going to go to our diagram, and we're going to start kind of charting this first version of the app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to copy and paste, and I'm going to create like a headline, and I'm going to call this MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product, because the last thing you guys want to do is build out an app or a product with a billion features, just copy what's existing, and then realize it's just not going to work out. You guys got to test your market. And what you're trying to do, guys, is you want version 0.001. That's how you should think about it. We're not doing even version 1.0. We are doing just the beginning. We're just getting something out there. It's a lot better to launch 0.001 as is, with bugs, with anything. Well, hopefully no bugs, and you're not going to have bugs with NoCode. But my point is it's much better to launch a minimal product quickly than to, you know, code something for a year and then launch something like 2 years later and then realize there's no demand for it, that nobody wants to pay you for your product. Very, very important. That's kind of what we're looking for. Mission statement. Let's create a mission statement. Schedule posts. Schedule posts on social media, on SM, social media, okay? Make it smaller. That's your mission statement, okay? You can even change the color. Let's make it red, okay? Now, let's think about the design of this app. How are we going to be building it? The first thing we need to do are the views. We always start with the views because that is what the customer sees. And the customer is the one that's paying it. Remember, they're paying us money. That is why we always need to focus on the views. Because if something is not viewable, we probably don't need to implement it. If something is not going to be used by the customer or used by us as admins, then we probably don't really need to worry about it, right? Unless we have a very, very good reason to think otherwise. So remember that. We have views, we have model, we have logic, all right? So what are the views? Well, it's very simple. From the user perspective, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to have it red. Just to kind of show you, you know, where we're actually creating this stuff, right? Because this was like a template. And the views are schedule, post, and see all posts. These are scheduled posts, okay? That's it. We need two views. Now, of course, you're going to need an admin view for the user, but that's, you know, that's beyond the scope of this model. Even if we need to create admin views and all that, just the fact that by having these two views is enough to launch the product because we're focusing on the user. Very, very important. So we have scheduled posts, we have see all posts. Let's kind of center it like this maybe, or something like this. Then we have the model, then we have logic. In this order, that is how we're going to be building this thing. Our model. What is our model? Well, very simple. Let's copy and paste. Our model. A model consists of entities. An entity is a post because that is what this app revolves around, right? The post is in the center of everything. It's the center of universe because that is what everything interacts with. We have a post. Now, of course, we have users. Actually, we have customers. And we have maybe admins. Actually, let's not worry about admins. We have a post and we have customers. Let's do singular for now because the plural is obvious, right? You know, many of these is going to be posts. Many of this is going to be customers. So we have post and customer. Now, the relationship here is going to be one-to-many because a customer can have many posts, but one post, each post belongs to only one customer, right? It's not a many-to-many. It's a one-to-many. So here, I'm just going to do 1M. Okay, so, or, you know, whatever. You guys understand it, right? Post is one to, you know, a customer has many posts. So this customer is kind of, and so we can do something like this. We can do customer, we can do post, and then we can say 1 to M. Okay? That way you can see that a customer has many posts and a post has only one customer. It's a one-to-many. And the way, you know, an easy shortcut there is that you're going to have either one-to-many or many-to-many, right? In some very, very specific instances, you might have one-to-one, but we're not going to talk about this. And the way you can think about it is that, yes, you're going to have either one-to-many or many-to-many. So how do you know which one? Well, it's actually very simple. A customer is always going to have many of something, right? I'm a customer, you know, I'm going to have many posts. I'm going to have many, you know, appointments. I'm going to have many, you know, dates or whatever. I'm going to have many of something. Now, whether a post is going to have many, that is a different discussion. You need to think, is this entity here, is this going to be unique among customers or not unique? In this case, it's going to be unique, which means that, you know, a customer can have many posts, but that post only belongs to one customer. So if I write something, that message cannot belong to many customers, even if it's generic enough that it could potentially be used by many customers. It's always going to be unique. So it's a one-to-many relationship. Okay, that's it. And then we have logic. Now here's where it gets interesting. So if you go back to this app, I can click on try it now, but you guys can understand. You can see it from the screen. The way it works is that we will need to schedule stuff, right? Either it's done right away, so we can do post now, or we can schedule. That's it. That's the logic, right? So let's copy this. We're going to come in here, and we're going to say post now or schedule. Now, obviously, in this app, you're going to need to create API calls, right? In Bubble, it's easy to do. In Appgyver, it's easy to do. In all of these services, it's very, very simple to do, and it's very straightforward. In order to go out and to connect to these services, you will need to use an API. And so that, talking about, building this API is beyond the scope of this video, obviously, because that would take like, a couple of hours just to show you how it's done. But when you're connecting to third-party services, like in this case, we're not doing things ourselves. We are using the help of somebody else. We're connecting to third-party services. We're going to need to use API. And so in some cases, you can use maybe a plugin that's provided by this third-party provider, such as Facebook or Twitter. Maybe Bubble has a plugin. If not, you will need to actually create API calls. And I've made tons of videos. You can just search my channel, both on Appgyver, Adalo, Bubble, whatever you want. I talked about how to do API calls. So this is going to be both API calls. Now, the difference between two of these is that post now just does it right away. So you hit the button, right? You come in here and you press this button. It makes the API call. This is like a workflow in Bubble, or this is logic in Appgyver. It's done right away. When you do schedule, you need to schedule a workflow. So this is where it's different. So here they specify, I want to schedule a message, a month later, or they say, they give you a date and time, etc. You need to execute a scheduled workflow. You create a scheduled workflow that executes in, some time in the future. Now, obviously, you have to make sure that they're scheduling it in the future, right? Because you cannot schedule something in the past, obviously, so you need to create that checking mechanism, right? But the idea is that instead of doing it now, you need to create a scheduled workflow. You can do that in Bubble. You can do that in Appgyver. You can do that everywhere. That's really the difference. This one posts it right away, so there's no scheduled workflows or scheduled events. This one here schedules the same workflow in the future. So potentially, you can have the exact same workflow. It's just here, it's direct. You do it, you press the button, it does it. Here, you have an intermediate step, meaning that instead of doing it right now, you need to have an intermediate step which schedules the logic. It schedules what's going to be coming after it. So that's really the difference. And that's kind of all we have. That's kind of how it works, right? Now, of course, you need a couple of more screens. Maybe you need to show an alert. Maybe you need to have an alert in Bubble where you say, okay, this has been scheduled or this has been posted, things like that. That's all automatic, right? We don't really need to think about it that much. And we need the scheduling kind of dialog box. So yeah, we can add that here. We can say, yeah, we have scheduled post actually. So that is there already, right? In fact, you might make it a little bit nicer with like a pop-up dialog box, but all of this can be done later, right? The key here is that I want to post, what is the winning? Why would people pay for this product? They will pay because you're saving time. You're saving them time in two ways. The first way is that you're allowing them to post to multiple sources. That saves time already, okay? So let me kind of talk a little bit about that. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, okay? Post to multiple sources. That's number one. Number two is the fact that you are scheduling something, and you can have a schedule. You can have a whole calendar where you just scheduled, 2 months in advance, 3 months in advance, to multiple sources, and that's how you make money, right? Schedule in advance. So as far as I'm concerned, right, we have this marketing kind of, this MVP argument here is that, we're going to schedule posts on social media, but when you break it down, there are two primary ways that you can get people to give you money. Post to multiple sources, and that's great. right? Or services even. And then you can schedule in advance. So for these two benefits, these two features actually, features, not benefits, people will be willing to pay money because this is going to save a lot of time. I want to build my product. I want to sell to customers. I don't want to sit there all day and tweeting stuff and posting on Facebook and stuff like that. I want to make money. And that's how you make money. That's how you break things down into a way where you can go out and make money. That is why you never come in here and you start, copying all features, right? You can't copy all of these features. All of this comes later as a result of user feedback. When users email you and say, hey, listen, you have a great product, but it would be really useful for me and my business if you can do feature A or feature X or feature, F, whatever. People are going to be suggesting to you these features, and you will realize you will prioritize these features by the amount of work you need to do, but also by the amount of impact that's going to be on your bottom line. So if there's a feature everybody's asking, and it's not that hard to implement, and you're going to make more money, you're going to get more customers, and these customers are going to stay with you longer, that is the feature you do. That's how you do. You don't go out and copy all of this. I made that mistake countless of times. It's not a good strategy. You need to go out and you need to develop features as a result of talking to your customers. And so that is kind of what we have for the MVP here, right? This is kind of what we have, right? Let me kind of align it properly so it looks at least somewhat presentable. We have a business, we have a mission statement, schedule post to multiple services, schedule in advance. Later on, you can add more winning features, but that is kind of what we have. We have views, schedule post, CO post, and then you can have a calendar, right? Later on, you can say, I'm just going to put that calendar view. Instead of seeing all posts as a list, you can see it as a calendar view, which is a cool feature. We have a model. We have a customer, one-to-many relationship to posts. And we have a logic, post now or schedule. And you can implement it using workflows or logic, or depending on which tool you are using. All right, guys, so that is kind of what I wanted to show you in this video, how to do it correctly. And that's what should be your MVP here. And later on, you can add more features and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed this video, I would highly, highly appreciate you guys giving this video a fat like, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these videos on building amazing apps and making money with no code. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you real soon.